Hello, my friends. I wanted to just come on and talk to you about an update on the up leveling of my art. So, in the end of December in 2025, I got this brainstorm that I wanted to up level my digital art so I could help my friend Lizzie illustrate her book. And it was a combination of wanting to move away from using AI to illustrate my inner journey and to then find my own unique style to illustrate my inner journey. Okay. And I was very excited and really freaking nervous because Procreate, which is the app I chose to up level that digital art, is complex, it's rich, it does many, many things, and I was quite intimidated. And I had set myself up with these expectations of that were, now I'm looking back, that were unrealistic expectations. Now, as part of that up leveling, I chose in February, I took some classes. In January, I took some classes. I practiced. I figured out what kind of instructors I liked. I figured out what kind of expression I probably would have. My illustrations are not going to look like AI generated images because I don't draw. That's not my genius. I'm not an illustrator of things that look realistic. I just don't draw. Anyway, I figured out that I would probably have an art journaling kind of style. And so I started supporting myself in that style. And there's a lot of things you can do in Procreate that help to move that style along. And I found great courses that weren't too expensive, and I found free stuff, and I found great brushes. And so I set myself a task for February to make 28 Procreate images that showed off a love quote. I have done 28 digital images using Procreate, trying different styles, doing practicing different effects, and thinking of it as a classroom experience, as if I was back in art school and this was a classroom experience. These are the 28 quotes. You have 28 days. Try something new every day. Use these brushes on one day. Try this kind of thing on another. Use a photograph on this one. That kind of thing. So I have that in the bank. They were all put up onto Instagram daily, and I feel very proud of that it has completed on the 28th of this month. And I can tell you about halfway through, they stopped being fun. Okay. They stopped being play. I don't know what happened. It was no longer fun. It became clearer to me that this type of art might not be something that I want to engage in daily, right? And I know you might be thinking, well, you did one a day. I mean, that's a lot. But you see, when I was art journaling, I did an art journal page. I had numerous challenges where I would do an art journal page a day for a 30-day challenge and a 60-day challenge and then a 90-day challenge. I actually did a whole year's worth of art journal pages a day, and they continued to be fun and exciting and an adventure for me, so that I lost the passion only halfway through. Really gave me pause because, I had this idea, I want to come in, I want to illustrate Lizzie's beautiful book that she's going to be writing after the Sage's journey. And it became clear that I think Lizzie is going to be doing her own illustration of her book through her own photographs, which is as it should be. Her photographs are gorgeous, and that's how she illustrates all of her articles. That's a no-brainer, right? It's beautiful. And I had gotten stuck with my own expectations of fame. This is something that has dogged me all of my life. When I was an actress, I had to be a famous actress. You know, I had to always get the leads. I was going to be famous as an actress. Well, that dream got stopped in its tracks when it was clear that I had problems with, which I look back on now, I am bipolar, and the problems of theater itself are very difficult for a bipolar person because the expectations of being on, in a role, were very hard for me. And the actual audition and not being in control of if I got a part and all of it was a perfect storm for nervous breakdown. And, probably I've had a couple of nervous breakdowns in my life. Only one that was actually diagnosed as one. But I had no core stability at that time. So there was no way I was going to be an actress, no less a famous actress, because I had no resolve. I had none of my gifts, because I was constantly in my activation sequence, always hitting my challenge and making the loop back to my life's work. And now that that has been, what has it been? Now that has been illuminated, and I know what can trip me up. And then I have the radiance and purpose, stability from doing my activation sequence so many times. What is this? I'm on it for my, say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th time. I have core stability now. And I still get tripped up by my shadows, I just do. And it's I was listening to Elijah and Liv and Darius talking today from the Q&A Cafe in our Sage's Journey. And, they were simply talking about, in fact, Darius said, I think of my evolution sphere as almost like my shadow, or as another being who is always with me. All right. So my evolution, but you see, your evolution isn't alone. So it's not just your shadow. So my evolution is superficiality. How superficial is it to constantly be wanting to be famous? I mean, really, I'm 69, guys. I think my use by date for being famous is probably past. But anyway, the thought of this other being with me all the time, this evolution sphere of, for me, the gift is self-assurance, right? So because I was always in this challenge of superficiality back then, I actually never got to self-assurance. So I would do a role and I'd be very self-assured in the role because I had already had it. It was mine. I was fantastic. I was vital, and I had a lot of strength, and I had a lot of passion, and I had a lot of presence. But then the role would be done and I'd fall into a depression, the bipolar, and I would then not have any self-assurance again. So this pathway of challenge was a loop that happened throughout my whole life. Eventually, I gave up theater and I went into art. But I had even in the art field, I had to surf those waves of wanting to be known. It wasn't so bad in school because all you're trying to do in school is learn the principles, right? And to make art. So that was great. But I remember when I was started art journaling, because after I got out of school, I pretty much dropped art and ended up having to help support my family. And then I became a widow and I was a single mom. So no art happened for decades. And it wasn't until about 10 years ago that I reactivated the art. And I started art journaling. And luckily, I joined a group that was called Get Messy, because Get Messy was all about just making art. Had nothing to do with selling art, nothing to do with getting famous with your art, nothing to do with even getting your art out there. It was just the making the art. That was such a balm to me because I was able to let go of all of the extraneous expectations around being an artist. And I was able over time to claim that I am an artist. Whether I sell a piece of art or not, I am an artist. I like to come to the paper and the page, the blank page, and make something. I love that. That's an artist, okay? So anyway, where am I even going with this? So I had these weird expectations of myself that coming now into the digital field, it came up again. I'm like, I'm supposed to be famous after, playing in digital art for a month. I mean, come on. What ended up happening, as I said, was I lost the sense of play. I lost the sense of fun. There was nothing fun about making those images. Some of them I'm proud of. Some of them, they're okay. One of them's really terrible in my view. But that's okay. It's a body of work. It's 28 images. But I do have a lot of skills now. So I have all these skills. So anyway, I brought all of this mushy feelings, not quite sure where I'm at, wanting to fucking just drop the whole digital art thing, wanting to do something totally different. And I brought it all to Haley yesterday. I'm in the program with her called Held. And every week, one day, we get to Voxer with her. We get to answer one of her questions. She responds to that. Then we get to ask a question. So I brought this question to her, like, what the frick's going on? And by actually going through the question, I actually came to an answer. What am I actually in the shadow of my Gene Key 31, which is in my creativity sphere? And the shadow of Gene Key 31 is arrogance. Yes, it's pretty arrogant to think you're going to be famous one day or to even want to be famous one day. She asked me, what was your pure impulse underneath that desire to learn that digital art? What was the purest impulse underneath there? So, okay, I went through. Okay, I wanted to help Lizzie, who was a little nervous about writing a book. I wanted to help her by saying, sure, I'll join you. Okay, that's a pure impulse. I love working with Lizzie. That's pure. That sort of fell by the wayside. So what's the next pure impulse? I'm not feeling a lot of pure impulse in there. Really. Beyond that. So that means I need to look at why am I even doing it then? Just to get a new skill? What's my pure impulse beneath it? Well, let's say I did start creating some oracle cards around my sage's words for my life's work and my evolution. That pure impulse would be to share some basic understandings of the gene keys through art and some of Richard's words, because they would have been Richard's words on there, quotes from Richard or Haley. That's a pure impulse, wanting to share eventually a deck of very kind of general, this is life's work impulse, this is a evolution impulse, that kind of thing. So that was pure. And so I might revisit that. But right now it's like, why would I get on a digital thing to make art when I could be playing with all the supplies I have in this art hut? That right there, that is full of color-coded paper ephemera that I can make art journal pages with, or index cards. Why would I want to get digital where all I'm doing is using a Apple Pencil? That's the only, that's that, or my fingers. That's the only somatic experience I have. I keep looking over here because my tablet is over there, and that's of course what I work on. Why? Maybe that also is part of where I lost the sense of play, because it's not somatic enough. I know that right now Richard talks a lot about in the Sage's Journey, and for those of you not doing the Sage's Journey, I'll tell you right now, he's bringing in the somatic, a lot of somatic experiences for us to bring these incredibly beautiful concepts of the Gene Keys and in this incredible language into the body. He has us walking. Tenmayo and some of Team 64 bring in somatic exercises. I've increased my tapping lately. I've increased doing the hand mudras. Richard has a whole invocation of solace that I perform. In fact, I performed right before I came on here, where he goes through the hand mudras for each of his prayers. This is, I bring kindness to my voice, using that hand mudra. That is a somatic way of bringing this material into our bodies, because I know that the divinity that I keep seeking is not out there, it's in my body. So, this is my update. I don't know where I'm going to go with that online art. It's not online, it's digital art. I don't know where I'm going to go with that, right? And yet, what happened when I lost interest in that is I looked for another place to play, another place to have fun. And because of this nature of Haley asking us questions every Friday, it's my Thursday, her Friday, asking us questions and then having a little bit of a discussion. And then we also get to have a Zoom call every couple of weeks. I actually asked her to give me some questions to help me to move through this issue. And then, a couple of weeks ago was through another issue. And I thought, questions. These are questions. I want to save these questions in case I am in this again, in case I'm in this place. Because, face it, we have repeat patterns, right? We have repeat patterns in our shadows. We have repeat patterns in our gifts. But we definitely have them in our shadows. So this pattern of wanting to be famous because somehow I don't feel like I'm getting enough validation from myself is a pattern. It's happened before, many times. So being able to ask the right questions at that time is important to me. So I want to start putting together a place to put those questions. My journal is too spread out. I have multiple journals from different times in my life. They're just too spread out. I don't even know where to look. Especially when you're in the middle of a shadow, let's say you're feeling depressed, you don't know where to look because you've forgotten. And that's totally human, nothing to punish yourself about. You just have forgotten. So, life hack, have your questions at your fingertips. So I decided to make index cards with all my questions. And to make them decorative, you can see it's decorative. I just made this yesterday. And I have an index card holder, and then I'll put a little tab there that says it might be the 3031 shadow. I don't know what section this is going under, but I'm definitely going to have a section on depression. I have 5 questions Haley asked me, and I'm going to put them on decorated index cards. This is a form of art journaling. It's on Instagram. You can look up the hashtag ICAD, and it's index card a day, ICAD. And this is an art form in itself. Obviously, index cards come in different sizes. This is the 3x5. Some people have beautiful Rolodexes, for their cards. You'll see just this beautiful panoply of artists who use this as their canvas. So I have added the question to it. Some people don't add any words to it. Some people add quotes to their cards. Some people nothing. Some people put soul questions on their cards. So anyway, it's been a while since I've been art journaling because I've been doing all that digital art, and it's been a long time since I worked this small. So this is not my favorite yet. So I need to do a whole bunch more, but I'm going to keep putting questions on here, and I'm going to put them in a little index card drawer like a library has, and so that when I am in one of my shadows, I can pull it out and be entranced by the visuals, but also really look at the question. Here's the question I was asked by Haley. What is the true yearning of my heart underneath the desire to be seen? Yeah. So that is, and the power really is in the question, because the question itself opens up that field of contemplation. So as I was typing this question out, as I was ripping it up, as I was pasting it on the card, the question was always there in my field, So what is the true yearning of my heart underneath the desire to be seen? So anytime I am called again to do a project that for me is creative, because I just create all the time. I love to create. I love to make art. I love to play with color and texture and papers and glues and anytime I'm getting ready to do a project, what is my yearning, the true yearning of my heart underneath this desire to be seen? Anyway. So that is an update of my art up-leveling, and we'll see where it all goes. Thank you for tuning in with me, and I'll talk to you next time.